All you need is love.
Where there is love, there's life.
Love is the fabric of the cosmos.
God is love.
Love is all you need.
What? You kind of already said that.
Sometimes that's all that needs to be said, man. Okay, I can't keep this up.
It's too much.
Too much.
It's not even that any of these statements are false.
Not at all. I think all of them are accurate, at least in a sense. I'm a firm believer in the existence and power of love, but sometimes I wish there was a way to talk about it without sounding so cheesy and stoned.
It doesn't help that love, even if just a concept, is just so big and so elusive when it comes to trying to pin it down with a definition. And what I really struggle with when I examine these statements, which I really personally want to dismiss as just mere platitudes, right? But what I struggle with is that in so many ways and from so many different angles, love is that simple. And I can't really disprove that. And I don't like that. I naturally tend to resist oversimplification. I think it is a tempting trap to fall into in a world that I see as undeniably complex. And I get frustrated knowing that I don't have the ability to refute these arguments showing love to be so simple and so fundamental. But at the same time, I'm not exactly wrong. Look at any type of love for more than 5 minutes, and what appears before you is going to be seemingly endless complexity, endless complications, contradictions even, gray areas, etc., etc. You can't get around that. And so, given all this, it's tempting to me to just sort of like skip over this topic a little bit, or avoid going into it in detail, or in settings like this, perhaps, when I can help it at least. But I don't think that's a very good impulse. I don't think that's a very good impulse for anybody. But, really, what kind of church would we be if we never talked about love? Or if when we talked about love, we, it's like a disservice if we only talked about it obliquely.
We would clearly be some other kind of church. As we began St. Brendan's Astrolabe with a Lent series no less, we first asked to be made ready before stealing a progression from St. Paul's famous love passage in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Ahead of the third Sunday of Lent, we examined faith. For the fourth, we explored hope. And as we approach the fifth, the last before Palm Sunday, we land on love. It's worth repeating that well-known chapter, and I promise you've heard it at a wedding, if nothing else, quoting here from Eugene Peterson's translation, The Message. If I speak with human eloquence and angelic ecstasy, but don't love, I'm nothing but the creaking of a rusty gate. If I speak God's word with power, revealing all his mysteries and making everything plain as day, and if I have faith that says to a mountain jump and it jumps, but I don't love, I'm nothing. If I give everything I own to the poor, and even go to the stake to be burned as a martyr, but I don't love, I've gotten nowhere. So no matter what I say, what I believe, and what I do, I'm bankrupt without love. Love never gives up. Love cares more for others than for self. Love doesn't want what it doesn't have. Love doesn't strut, doesn't have a swelled head, doesn't force itself on others, isn't always me first, doesn't fly off the handle, doesn't keep score of the sins of others, doesn't revel when others grovel, takes pleasure in the flowering of truth, puts up with anything, trusts God always looks for the best, never looks back, but keeps going to the end. Love never dies. Inspired speech will be over someday. Praying in tongues will end. Understanding will reach its limit. We know only a portion of the truth, and what we say about God is always incomplete. but when the complete arrives, our incompletes will be canceled. When I was an infant at my mother's breast, I gurgled and cooed like any infant. When I grew up, I left those infant ways for good. We don't yet see things clearly. We're squinting in a fog, peering through a mist. But it won't be long before the weather clears and the sun shines bright. We'll see it all then. See it all as clearly as God sees us, knowing Him directly just as He knows us. But for right now, until that completeness, we have 3 things to do to lead us toward that consummation. Trust steadily in God, hope unswervingly, love extravagantly, and the best of the 3 is love.
I had to listen to that in its more traditional translation like 1,000 times growing up, and I hated it. Honestly, it bugged the crap out of me, and part of it, of course, is that obvious aspect where it sounds cheesy, it sounds uncool, right? But what really got under my skin is that I felt like it was just like patently, obviously untrue. Why do we have to, repeat this passage over and over and over again when it's so obvious that love is not like any of these things, right? I mean, where could you find this in the real world? Parables, sure. Myths, fables, literary devices, yeah. But the real world, any actual relationships, any actual stories that look like this, that sound like this, that exhibit this, no, you can't find that, right? But then, of course, we are always learning. And what took me until very recently, honestly, just like a couple years ago, to even be able to wrap myself around is what exactly I was getting wrong. You see, people are not like Paul describes. I am not like this. We fall short of all of this. But love does not. It's not that love isn't like this, it's that we aren't like this. It's we who fail to love. And that's what the problem is. And if that isn't at least one of the main cores of what Christianity is supposed to be, that love is out there, that we by our nature fail to love, but that we can love anyway. I don't know what is.
And I think the other easy mistake to make about Paul's statement here is that he is describing love in that simple way we were poking fun at a minute ago. Too simple. Maybe true, but maybe unsatisfying and incomplete.
In the typical translation, love is patient, love is kind, sure, yeah.
Right, but once you realize that the love he's describing is a force that exists independent of us as people, that's real even if we always fail to really fulfill it, you see just how comfortable Paul is with complexity. Even when we leave childhood behind, he tells us, we're still just squinting through a fog, still unable to make out the fine details of true reality with any kind of clarity. But maybe we get glimpses. Maybe we can at times see real love in all its glory. Maybe we can put away those childish things and commit ourselves to trying for these ideals. What could be more complicated than that? If any of this is true, we might as well add one more. Love is irrational. Love is imbalanced. Love means giving help, giving support, giving money, maybe worst of all sometimes giving forgiveness when it's not deserved, and when it doesn't benefit you personally, sometimes even when it does exactly the opposite.
And I think that there's a paradox here, too, because even if this force of love does exist independent of us, it is through living creatures that it finds its expression in this plane of the universe. Love needs us in order to fully flower. And if we seek to live fully, to live with the least amount of fog before our eyes, to look at a wiped clean mirror, right? We will struggle to love. We will. We will struggle to deal with our family. We will struggle to forgive people who have plainly wronged us. We will struggle to do right by our romantic partners for years and years and years on end, when no one can actually do that. We're not capable of fully embodying Paul's list, but we are nonetheless capable of love. We are capable of striving for it, struggling for it, and that's what it means to be human. We have ways, and most of them in our daily lives, they are simple. They don't require that much struggle in order to express that love, to give it that flower. They might require sounding a little bit cheesy in order to talk about. But they're doable, and they're real, and they are love. And that's sometimes a kind word and easy eyes that you present with those that you meet along the way. And that's it, right? It might be just small acts of thoughtfulness, things that you do because of your awareness of the needs of others and how you might respond to that, how you might meet them. It's about, it could be about delaying your plans or the thing that you're in a hurry to do because someone that you know needs to have a really inconvenient conversation with you, and you can sense that, and you just have it anyway. That's love. Doing small favors, that's love.
Like faith and hope, practical love in our lives might best be approached as an orientation, as something we try to live within each day. And we won't, but we will try. And some days we'll get it, and that is enough.
And if you're local, maybe we'll see you Sunday. Details are in the email. But if not, leave us a message, drop us a chat, reply to the email. We would love to hear from you. We would love to talk about this more in any capacity. So, see you soon.